Paul McCartney and Mick Jagger, they both get the winter fuel allowance. Is that right? Let's ask David Ward, who's the Lib Dem MP for Bradford East. Don't need you to comment on Mick and Paul particularly, David. But it does seem illogical that a lot of pensioners who, at that stage in their life, I mean, admittedly, a lot of them need it, and it's a lifesaver for some pensioners, but a lot who don't need it do get it. Can that situation be changed?
Well, I think it just has to, doesn't it? We need to work out whether we are really, really, really serious about dealing with particularly issues of social care and the huge cost of that. 40,000 people a year having to sell their homes off to pay for social care. This cannot be right. But if we are to help those people in that situation and really are serious about finding the money to do it, then we have to look at all options and make sure that the burden is shared. And to have 80% of 12 million people receiving winter fuel payments, £2 billion that is costing, and 80% of the recipients are above pension credit limits. How can it be right?
But can it happen? Because David Cameron said, it was a part of the coalition agreement, wasn't it, that universal benefits like the winter fuel allowance would not be tampered with in this Parliament.
Well, that's what he stuck with that. That was in the agreement, an agreement of two different parties. You win some, you lose some, and he's stuck with that now through to 2015. But we are now looking much longer term. We are looking at something beyond one single Parliament. We're looking at how we fund the cost of social care. Paul Burstow, ex-minister responsible for this area, has today made his views known on this, that the restriction of the winter fuel payments to those on pension credit would generate £1.5 billion towards the cost of funding a superior level of social care, and I think we need to look at that.
Would it not be a bit of a bureaucratic nightmare to try and do that, David?
Well, it needs to be looked at in terms of any form of means testing in case some bureaucracy, and we have to look at how that can be done in a way that's cost effective. But the price that we're paying for this, whether it is Mick Jagger or anybody else, we simply as a nation cannot afford it when we have so many people in desperate need of more support. 40,000 people selling off homes every year to fund their social care needs cannot be right.
Yes, but that's a message, presumably, that's going to be a difficult one to get across. We're getting a lot of people, the fact that the money is being redistributed, that's what you're saying, it's not being taken away from pensioners, but still, from the text that we're getting here, it does seem to be the general impression out there that this is just money you're going to take away from pensioners. Well,
those pensioners who are deemed wealthy enough to be able to afford it. And then we need to define what wealthy is, and it may be that the suggestion that it's restricted to those simply on pension credit is not fair, because that is not a wealthy person, someone just above that limit. But those are the things that we can debate. What we need to do is, in principle, look at the issue of whether we restrict benefits for what are wealthy pensioners, wealthy elderly people who are receiving the winter fuel payment. We must at least look at it.
But if that's done, would you see it being extended to things like, cheap public transport for
TV licenses,
TV licenses, all that stuff?
Yeah, well, it has to. We simply cannot. Surely everybody recognises the dire straits that we're in at the present time, and it cannot make sense to have a large area of our public expenditure, which we say we're just not going to go near that, to have a look at the possibilities of redirecting that funding to those most in need. And if you are really serious about helping those most in need, we cannot have large areas of public funding which we are simply not prepared to take the tough political choices about, even if that's unpopular.
OK, David, thanks for joining us. David Ward, Lib Dem MP for Bradford East.